Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Photographic Memory Podcast. I'm excited to welcome to the program Dr. Shannon Panzo. Dr. Shannon, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, everything's happening today. We got a real fun short list of people here that are really going to turn the world on its edge.
Oh, I cannot
I'm happy.
wait. I cannot wait. So first, we know that Dr. Shannon is a photographic memory expert, a brain management expert, and also he does mentoring. But go ahead and introduce our guest, Dr. Shannon. I know you're pumped up about our guest.
Okay. Our guest today is Dr. Ted Valley. Dr. Ted Valley is a chiropractor, and he's a good one. And today you're going to find out why he's a good one.
Awesome. And that's it. So how did you meet Dr. Shannon? Tell us the story, Dr. Ted.
Yeah, so just give you my, my story of mental photography is, so I actually started off at one chiropractic institution. I was really kind of struggling academically, and I needed to find, out of desperation, something to kind of give me that edge that I was missing. So at that time, starting this first institution, I was, after my bachelor's degree, I thought, oh man, I got this graduate school, no big deal. I was taking 16 credit hours. Well, I get slammed with 27 to 30 credit hours my first trimester at graduate school. I'm like, holy crap. Wow, this is a lot. So, I'm doing what I thought I was supposed to do, which is, studying, 30 to 36 hours a week, trying to keep up with all the academic material that's being downloaded on me. And really, it was just overwhelming and I couldn't keep up. I was staying up too late, drinking too much coffee and caffeine. Basically, I put myself into what's called adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, which is basically where it doesn't matter how much coffee you drink, you fall asleep. And basically your body starts shutting down because of all the stress, both psychologically, emotionally, and physically from not eating right, being overstimulated. And it was a mess, nearly put myself in the hospital. Just trying to be a good student, right? So struggled with that program. Out of some miracle, through a Google search, I found the XPro Training program. And I was like, well, I've got nothing else to lose. So why don't we, pay the money, try it out and see what happens. So now the interesting thing is when I was in my last trimester at this other institution, basically it was at the point where, it was either I was going to be leaving no matter what. My goal was to finish that semester strong. And I did. My neuroanatomy professor, after having really hit the XPro training hard, halfway through the semester, I taken my midterm, and she's like, what are you doing different? Because you were struggling and now you're not. So it was really an astonishing change. It was, I went from studying, 30 plus hours a week down to 2 to 5 hours a week, and obviously when you're talking about, freeing up that much time, I now have time to actually spend with my wife. We actually got to go out, have fun. And I picked up a part-time job while in graduate school. And that really is what started me on this path of, really hitting academia hard. And when I transferred in my new institution, it was a breeze compared to what it was. And it was just an amazing, it was an amazing thing to experience for me, from a traditional student of, I'm reading, volumes of books the traditional way and, spending hours of studying. And now I'm flipping through pages, literally, at 2 pages per second. And, or faster, because once I got good at the program, I started using the computer, and I was just literally flipping through, just using the key to flip through the pages to capture the images. And so I was going through volumes of books in a fraction of the time, and it was just it really gave me an opportunity to excel both academically and in life.
All right, Dr. Shannon, anything to add to that before I go to the next question?
Well, that makes me feel really good. And those are the results that I would like to see all of our clients get. But the main thing is consistency. You have to use it consistently in order to get results. Would you agree with that, Ted?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So when I first started into the training, I was spending, probably 5-6 hours a day doing the XPro training program. I would do the entire program in one day that you have recorded. And then I was also doing the dictionary drill, Einstein distraction index, all these other tools that you have listed. And I was using that as an active program as I was going through the material that was required for my academic career.
All right. So you said that's how you met Dr. Shannon through the course, but how did you find him? That's interesting to know the story. Were you searching to find Dr. Shannon?
Honestly, I was, rapid memory, downloading information, into your brain. It was random Google searches, and literally, XPro mental photography came up, and it was just like, okay, that sounds like the thing that I need, so I'm going to give that a try. And really, it wasn't after I completed my graduate program that I actually reached out to Dr. Shannon and asked to do a video for him, because it was so meaningful to my life.
Do you still go through the method all the time to keep it going, to keep your mental photography going by doing some of his training?
Well, I do. In honest, it's because being a person of integrity, try to share honestly. So what I would say is I don't use it as I should, because like all people, we get bogged down in our own daily routines, and I work probably 40 to 50 hours a week. Both in treating patients, but then also the paperwork that goes along with it, and the research that comes along with it. And that's where I'm using it more specifically, is in the research area. So I'm using mental photography through the research, but because I don't really have the time to spend 4 hours a day dedicated to only mental photography, I'm not as good as I should be. Once you've mastered the program, you can spend 20 minutes a day doing it, and then you've isolated everything, and all the systems are working in your brain.
So in other words, even though, what you did first is you utilized it, you used it consistently, you had the results, you had great results. It totally shortened the amount of study time that you had to do. Your grades became better, the stress went down, you had a relationship. Everything that you needed to have on your plate was happening.
Yes.
Then, even though you're not using all the particulars, all the different exercises every day, you can easily switch up into that mode anytime you have to do your research. So you just switch over to the mental photography, you do your research, normally the research, relatively speaking. How much time would you normally spend to do research using your old system compared to how much time you spend to do the same amount of research today?
Oh, easily, easily 4 to 6 hours was what it would take traditionally to get them through the material that I'm researching now. But just using the system, as I'm doing my searches, in PubMed or whatever it is that I'm researching at the time, I'm able to capture entire research articles, just kind of scrolling through it, move on to the next one, and then as I go back and kind of contemplate on what I photographed, then I'm able to kind of let that information soak in, and I have a greater comprehension. Even when I am traditionally reading, my comprehension level is much higher than what it was, just because I photograph it first and then I go back and read it, just kind of make sure I get all the details out when I'm having a conversation with people.
So it decreases your time. It definitely decreases your time.
Oh, yes.
You do things much more quickly.
Yes.
Great. That's wonderful to hear. Okay. Now, Dr. Ted, with your profession, do you find that there's other attributes that you've taken on board which makes your profession better or easier?
Well, what I would say is it heightened a capacity that I already had. So I'm already a very empathetic person. Yeah, I already have a connection with people and my surroundings differently than most people. But what I would say is that through the use of mental photography and regular meditation, really those two are key to using in conjunction with each other. Really, I have a connectedness with my patients, that is beyond what is really comprehensible. So I can walk into a room in most cases, and I have a feeling of what's going on with the patient. I'm using, more of a sense of, what I'm reading from the patient when I'm doing the treatment, rather than just focusing only on the structural abnormalities that may be present. Because there are subtle things that maybe the patient didn't tell me that I pick up on. And when I'm having a conversation with them while they're on the table, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even tell you that. How'd you know?"
Wow. And so describe that a little bit more for me, how you're able to do that through mental photography.
Well, it just
more aware of your environment around you in certain ways.
Well,
very aware, right?
Yeah, it's just it increases your awareness, through the eye drill exercises, and doing the regular meditation. Those two things alone, really are what kind of open up your awareness and your consciousness to the world around you to a greater extent than the average person. Because when you think about most people, that they sit on their couch, they watch television, maybe they read a book, but their mind is much slower and is capturing only the images that are in front of them, from a conscious perspective. Our subconscious mind is capturing everything all at once, but we're taught in school to focus only on what we can see, hear, touch, smell, and etc. Meditation, when you're using it appropriately and going into deeper levels, you are tapping into your sixth sense. So you're bringing in aspects of your surroundings that the average person may or may not pick up on.
All right, Dr. Shannon, any other things to add so far?
Well, basically, you're using your subconscious and accessing your subconscious on a daily basis with your job.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to take. I want to ask you a trick question here. XPro Training. It was really complex to learn, right?
No, it really not at all. If you follow the system that's laid out, it's very easy to understand. And it's systematic. The hard part is just doing it. It's just saying, I'm going to make the time. I'm going to carve it out of my schedule, and I'm going to do this for myself and for my family. In my case, it was for both. It's just it had to be done. It wasn't a question of if I'm going to do it. It has to happen.
Great. Now, for a person like Neil, who's constantly studying all the different things on the internet and social marketing and all the rest of those things, he actually has a pretty good environment where he could be applying the mental photography, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes, absolutely.
There's all the different strategies and different things you want to learn so you can implement and then be able to regurgitate on stage when asked a question. Such an important thing using mental photography, it sounds.
Yeah, so I've got a quote. I have a couple of quotes here that I want to kind of get in, but one quote that kind of has a lot to do with where the average person is at, and it's no fault of their own, because we live in a system that is designed to keep us in our little boxes. So when we're in our boxes, it's hard for us to see anything else, and we're kept there intentionally. And this quote is from Oscar Wilde, is an illustration of that. Most people are other people. Their thoughts, someone else's opinions. Their lives, a mimicry. Their passions, a quotation. So what does that mean? That really what that means is that we don't even know who we are because we are kept outside of ourselves. And it's kind of a deep concept to kind of bring up, but really it's only through self-reflection. And mental photography is a great way to start learning more about yourself, especially when you get into the meditation aspect of it. We don't even know who we are as individuals, let alone as a human race.
Oh, I would definitely agree with you there.
So how's it changed your life in other ways, Ted? Like just basically you get things done more quickly, all the different things of the benefits of mental photography, and why should people take XPro? Yeah,
so in addition to the obviousness of what we've discussed already, I have I have more centeredness. My stress level is much lower. Even when I'm not in a crunch for studying or whatever the case is, I have a much easier time just going through life in general. I don't feel the pressure even in stressful situations like what I used to, because I just have more balance. Balance is key to everything in life, and I think XPro Training has the capacity to bring balance to the masses.
So you still have surprises, but you're not stressed about them.
Right. Oh yeah. Life is a surprise, right? You never know what the day is going to bring. And I've had many stressful situations that I've had to deal with over the years. And the way that I used to respond versus the way that I do now has definitely changed drastically for the better.
Excellent.
Yes, definitely. So I guess, Dr. Shannon, where can people go ahead and take XPro right now?
Well, if you want to take XPro Training, you go to XPro.com and you sign up for it and you get it. And it'll give you exactly what you're supposed to get in order to have results. It's geared for you to have results. Now, keep in mind, it does take exactly what we were just talking about. It does take consistency. Once you have been consistent for a period of time and have been seeing the results, then of course it becomes so much easier for you to just continue on. And even if you get away from it for a while, it's like riding a bike. Once you know you have actually accomplished with it, then it's like riding a bike around the block a couple times, you become proficient again.
Mhm.
And it's just that easy.
And Ted, I guess, what about people that will see this now? You know, if you go to XPro.com, your testimonial's on there, but now going nationally syndicated all over the world and all these different things. When people ask you, what are you going to tell them, especially about this program, saying, oh, really, mental photography, photographic memory, really? How are you going to respond to that?
Well, what I would say is just you have to experience it for yourself, you know, because it's one of those things to where you can ask for a demonstration and you know, it may or may not work out, but until you experience it for yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody else may think about it. So, you know, if somebody would have just told me about the XPro training without me having experienced it, I probably wouldn't believe them. You know, so you're telling me that you went through 3 textbooks that are 500 pages or more, no, probably 1,500 pages. So you went through 3 textbooks that were 1,500 pages in under an hour, mentally photographed them, and you have, yeah, I mean, it's what exactly. Wow is right. You know,
Can you do it still? Can you do it still, or about half that pace now because you don't practice the method all the time?
Oh no, it's just, yeah, I can still get through those books. It's just a matter of pacing yourself. And you're just doing the pace, and you know, like that's where the cadence really helps. That Dr. Shannon shares in his training program. It really just kind of helps you keep the pace, and you just kind of like droning through it. And because you're not reading the pages, you're just taking pictures of them and you're downloading. It's just you're downloading the information directly in your subconscious mind for recall later.
That's crazy,
And it works.
Awesome, crazy,
and it works.
All right, so again, XPro.com. Ted, can people check you out anywhere, or is it best just to kind of just Google you, or what?
Yeah, probably right now just Google me. You know, I think that probably would be best. I've already had people reach out through email. You know, the funny thing about people is that if they're really interested, they'll hunt you down and find you, right? So I don't want to make it too easy for folks.
Ted, they just need to go to XPro.com instead of hunting you down, and go
That's
ahead
right.
and contact
Exactly.
Dr. Shannon and also Dr. Shannon with mentoring. So thank you, Dr. Shannon. Thank you, Ted. And I appreciate both of your times.
Great. It's been great being on. Thank you.
All right, guys, that was the Photographic Memory Podcast. Take care, guys.